Everyone here on my channel would have subbed to my channel because of The Division, but I probably wouldn't be surprising anyone if I said that a very large chunk of those that have played The Division have also played Destiny at some point. I recall seeing a post on Reddit a long while back that asked what percentage of people on The Division Reddit had come from Destiny, and I recall the number being something like 70%. It was really huge. Back then, which was around in March of this year, a huge portion of the Destiny community was dying for Destiny content, as it had been a full 6 months since Destiny had had a major content drop. Huge portions of the Destiny community couldn't wait for The Division to come out, as to them, they saw it as a natural progression from their Destiny addiction. Another MMO shooter, a loot grinding game with team-based action and a strong focus on endgame activities like PvP and raids, since back then we actually all thought the Division would come included with raids, but of course that turned out to not be the case. Fast forward 5 months and we're now in very familiar territory, except this time many people are looking forward to leaving the Division behind, moving to what they hope will be Destiny's greener pastures, provided as part of its newest expansion, the Rise of Iron. As the hype train pulls out of the station for Rise of Iron, and as the Division community begins speaking about it more and more, it dawned on me that there are probably a whole bunch of you out there that have never played Destiny and are wondering what the hell all the fuss is about. Well, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be providing a really simple breakdown of what Destiny is and why it's worth checking out. As someone who loves both Division and Destiny, there are 10 things in particular that I think really make Destiny work in a way that's very likely to appeal to fans of the Division, either because the Division already does this thing really well and Destiny will provide you with even more of that, or because Division does something really poorly and Destiny sort of provides a much better model for delivering that thing that you're chasing. The intent here is to get you to the point where you can make an informed decision about whether or not Destiny is for you. It will be a biased account because I absolutely love Destiny as much as I absolutely love the Division, but I think any Division fan looking to decide whether or not Destiny might be worth checking out in year 3, then these 10 things are going to be the things that you're most likely going to gravitate towards. I split this list into 2 separate videos because there's so much that I want to talk about and I didn't want this to be a 20-minute video, so let's get started. First up is the moment-to-moment feel of combat in Destiny. Now this is something that no one, myself included, will ever be able to communicate to you in words. The moment-to-moment combat of Destiny is just magnificent. Bungie have perfected the console shooter. They know the right sounds the guns should make, the right amount of aim assist to make us feel strong without feeling like puppets, the right feeling a melee attack should give you when it lands, the right way to sort of design an enemy so that it's really smart and challenging to kill, but not so hard that you never feel like you're not the master of the moment. Put simply, when it comes to moment combat, Destiny is the most satisfying first-person shooter ever put on a console. It's a bold claim, but I think the majority of people who play console games would agree, unless they're perhaps a die-hard Call of Duty fan. So how does that translate when compared to a third-person experience as provided by The Division? Well, to be honest, I was actually really impressed with how good The Division felt when I picked it up. There's a real weight to The Division, there's a heft of movement, and the way that the guns are fired, that just feels really, really good. I honestly feel like Massive did a fantastic job on this part. However, third-person play has its limitations, as it's a hell of a lot less skill-based than first-person is. The precision of combat is greatly enhanced by the first-person perspective, and for that reason, I think if you really enjoy the way The Division feels, then you're probably going to like the way that Destiny feels even more, unless of course you're someone that just really loves the third-person perspective and feels like you couldn't leave it behind. So yeah, that's combat. That's something that The Division does really well, and that I think Destiny absolutely nails. And there are some slight differences between the two, obviously, between the first and third perspective, but overall, if you really like the way The Division feels, you're definitely going to like the way Destiny feels as well. Number 2 is weapons with character. Now, The Division has actually done a really excellent job of giving each weapon a unique feel. The M1A feels very different from the Scar H, very, very different in fact. The M60 LMG feels totally different from the RPK LMG. Going further with this, the talent system on weapons really sets each weapon apart, as an M1A with horrible talents will be like instantly deconstructed, whereas one with good talents instantly becomes the single best PvE weapon in the game. In Destiny, you're going to have that same relationship with your weapon, and probably feel it even more acutely, to be honest with you. The feel of weapons in Destiny are just awesome, and you could almost name them blindfolded by just feeling their recoil and listening to the sound that they make. The talent system is so excellent as well. It's actually quite similar to the Division's, funnily enough, and it creates these meaningful differences between weapons that's all based upon the RNG role of the weapon, and it encourages you to keep grinding for better drops that complement your chosen build or playstyle. Absolutely, if guns are your thing and you really like what Division has done, then I think you'll appreciate what Destiny has to offer as well. I don't think it definitely doesn't offer as many customization options. You can't mod your weapons, for instance, and the talents aren't quite as impactful as they are in the Division. But yeah, the overall feel, the sort of kinesthetic relationship that you have with your weapon, and the simplified but still very effective talent system give you plenty of motivation to keep grinding for better and better weapons. Number 3, named weapons are actually good, and they are unique, and they are in fact awesome. So one of the absolute worst parts of the Division, no question, is its named weapon system, like the Historian or the Showstopper or the Medved or all those sorts of weapons, and they should be really awesome, but in fact they're completely unusable owing to their damage or their mods or their talents. They're essentially glorified trophies. It's a really weird system in the way that it exists, and it really pushes players away from what should be some of the best guns in the game and the most exciting guns to use. Destiny handles this completely differently with its named weapons, which are called exotics. These are almost always very usable weapons, and some of them are downright best in slot. They are well designed, they are well balanced, and almost always have a unique look and feel to them that sets them apart in combat. To be honest, a huge part of the Destiny endgame experience is just collecting all of the exotic weapons in a real sort of, gotta catch 'em all kind of way. For collectors out there, it's its own reward, but for those of us that just want good, interesting guns to fire, the hunt for exotics is a very rewarding activity indeed. Honestly, you'll always remember your first exotic, and if that moment doesn't hook you to Destiny, then it's very likely that nothing will. Number 4, the loot grind is not really that much of a grind. So in the Division, the grind is real. The sheer number of sets and weapons and the number of stats across those things is so large that you never really feel like you're anywhere near your perfect build. In addition, the way that loot is distributed with weighted drops for certain activities like Falcon's Lost essentially mean that you're running the same activity over and over again to get the gear that you're chasing, rather than just playing the game and getting good loot from whatever you're doing. While this level of effort and configuration can make the perfect build in Division feel really rewarding, it also combines to make the Division feel like a real time sink. You really need to invest some very big hours in Division to be able to progress in it in a meaningful way. Something that not all of us are able to do when we're juggling things like, jobs and kids and all that other sort of stuff that we have in real life, not to mention playing other games. So one of the best things about Destiny is how well it has been constructed to respect your time. The loot grind, if you can call it that, really isn't a grind at all. You can't just play the game and do things you enjoy, and you'll get random loot drops from those. Yeah, there are activities like the raids that have, set drops that you'll be chasing, but because, each raid has a 1-week reset timer, you're not really incentivized to keep grinding it again and again in pursuit of your drops. In addition, when you do get drops, they actually scale to your level, meaning that no matter what endgame content you're running, you're more than likely to get an upgrade for you because, the upgrade is going to scale to your current level. Finally, there are some really chunky, really interesting, and really fun endgame quest chains that reward you with some really amazing loot, including best in slot exotic weapons. So yeah, those are pretty great to do as well. Overall, it's a really balanced and rewarding loot meta that Division players are likely going to find a breath of fresh air in the current climate. And finally for this video, number 5, daily and weekly mission tasks and missions that provide you with a real benefit. So the Division started off really well with its daily and weekly reward structure. You did missions like daily missions to earn Phoenix credits, which you could then spend on endgame loot from the vendors, which are actually pretty decent some of the time. You could also you also got loot from running challenge mode missions, since the best tier of items were high-end yellow items. Then the incursion hit, and everything really changed. Set items were the only items worth equipping at this point, and the Phoenix credits became really worthless for a variety of reasons. Things like the weekly high-value targets did nothing to stem the bleeding, because there's only so much Lone Star you can get before you eventually decide that your keyboard is evil and must be punished. Nowadays, you don't feel the urge to log on to complete daily or weekly tasks, since there really isn't any incentive to do so. In Destiny, the system actually works a hell of a lot better than this. There's a really streamlined set of daily bounties that give you much needed experience to level up your newly acquired guns and weapons. Guns and gear, since yes, there's actually a need to level up those items with experience. You'll also get currency for completing missions on a daily and weekly basis that's useful for a variety of reasons, be it purchasing gear upgrades or purchasing materials that you will then use to upgrade your gear, because yes, experience alone is not enough to upgrade your items. There's also weekly Nightfall missions, which are really tough versions of existing missions that can award best in slot loot like high level armor pieces or exotic weapons. In short, there's generally a really good reason to log on most days in Destiny, and even if you happen to miss a day, it's actually no big deal, since it's not tuned to be a requirement. If you're looking for regular engagement and regular ongoing engagement that doesn't demand too much of your time and is still rewarding, then Destiny strikes a really great balance. So guys, that's the first 5 things that I think Division players will really appreciate about Destiny. There's going to be another video on this topic tomorrow where I'll be covering another 5 things. But yeah, I think that's already you get a bit of a sense for why Destiny works as well as it does. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section who are going to completely disagree with everything that I've said. That's totally fine. Destiny is a strangely divisive game, but I think a lot of the negative sentiment around Destiny comes from the vanilla experience, where it was a very, very raw and very very unfleshed out experience, and it was greatly improved during the Taken King expansion, which is, funnily enough, very similar to this sort of journey that we hope the Division will go on, where right now it's in a very rocky place, but in the future, hopefully they'll correct it and they'll get it to where it needs to be. But either way, guys, I hope you liked this video. Check back tomorrow for the next one. If you like this video, do drop it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe for all sorts of Overwatch, Division, Destiny, and later on Battlefield 1 content. For now, guys, thanks for watching, take good care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.